So today we have our actual safety topic we're going to do, and then Alan's going to go over a couple things, answer some questions and stuff. So today is pretty short and straightforward. We have, let me click on these slides, alcohol, drugs, and tobacco policy. Go forward, pull all these up quick. Okay, so grounds for drug testing. Can anyone tell me one grounds for drug test? What?
Suspicion?
Reasonable suspicion.
Accident.
Incidents, accidents, yes. What else? Randoms. What else? You got two more.
Appearance.
That's kind of in reasonable suspicion. So, all of you had to do one when? Pre-employment and return to duty and follow-up. So, if you violate the policy, you have to do a return to work and follow-up after. So, pre-employment, obviously you do those before you start work with us. Post-incident, any incident is subject to collection, so that is any property damage, any spills, anything like that is subject to those. Just keep that in mind. Randoms, everyone in the company, from office to shop to drivers, are in the random pool, so you can at any time be drawn for that. Reasonable suspicion, supervisors and management are trained in this, trained to look for things when they're talking to you guys, see anything in the field. And return to duty, like I said, occurs after a violation to the policy. There's a minimum of 6 unannounced follow-up tests for that within the first 12 months of that. Industrial fatalities and work-related injuries. 40% of industrial fatalities and 50% of work-related injuries are linked to drug and alcohol impairment on the job. A reminder from Shell, this doesn't just count for Shell, this is for anywhere we're working. If you are taking even over-the-counter medication, you need to let a supervisor know, let us know, so we know that there are effects that could affect you operating a commercial motor vehicle. So even if it's over-the-counter or prescribed, we need to make sure we're aware of those. Protecting yourself from workplace substance abuse, recognizing physical signs, behavioral signs, and psychological signs. So basically this is just saying, if you recognize any of these signs, make sure that you are protecting yourself from that person, reporting it. Physical signs, bloodshot eyes, their personal hygiene, dilated pupils, frequent nosebleeds, slurred speech.
All right.
And poor coordination. Behavioral, decline in work performance, sudden lack of motivation, random requests for money, and frequent arguments. And psychological signs include mood swings, random agitation or hyperactivity, unexplained personality or attitude changes, and unusual lack of focus. Seeking help, if you recognize that you do have a problem, there's resources. So there's national hotlines. We have the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Number is, if you want the number, you can ask me, but I have it here too. Counseling, rehab, AA, NA are community resources you can use. And we also have EAPs, or employee assistance programs. They're confidential to help you overcome that. So if you do recognize you have a problem, there's options for you to get help. And that's pretty much it. Don't use alcohol and drugs while you're on the job. Pretty simple and straightforward.
Tobacco, it was on there.
So tobacco, you can smoke in designated areas, but tobacco products are not to be used in any prairie equipment or anything like that.
You can chew?
Huh?
What about chew?
No. Right? No, you can't have chew in the vehicles.
What?
Isn't that right? You can't have chew in the vehicles?
I'm not gonna lie to you, I have violated that policy. I'm sorry. I'm Jason, and I use tobacco products. Hi, Jason.
Okay, so we've skipped this the last couple of weeks. It is still the same as January. Our February safety topic is still destination or goal 0. Remember, when you guys sign that paper, you're not just signing a paper. It's you pledging that you are going to do your part in reaching that goal of 0. Some operations notes. I don't have anything for Texas. But Wyoming, a message from Pinnacle. You cannot push against the tail pump. If this is seen, it's not going to be tolerated. Samson, we got a note from Samson again, cleaning the hatches. They're a wreck. They're going to start sending tickets with names on them of who is not cleaning up. So clean up after yourselves. Safety focus word. I forgot what I wrote. Last week's, yes. This week's, we are going to say drugs are not allowed.
What?
Drugs are bad.
All right.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. Is Alan in? There's Alan. Okay. Handing over the
No, you can
baton.
leave it there.
Oh, it's going to be on you.
I'm gonna come over there.
Okay.
Just steal your seat, it'll be easier. Work. I guess I gotta stand. Well, I can't.
Real quick.
I can't
Can I
sit.
say one more thing?
Please do.
Okay, one more thing online. Comment names do not count for credit anymore. You have to fill out that link underneath the video in the description box. We are no longer, we're on week like 4 or 5 now of saying this, so comments don't count.
There was no bot last week. I couldn't.
Yes, there was. We tested it twice, so it's there.
I didn't
It's
see
in the description box. You click the arrow. It says to
I
get
even
credit
clicked
for
it
this
today.
meeting. There it is. What?
There isn't one.
If you don't know how to get there, just get a hold of me. I will send you screenshots on how to do it.
There you go. Excuses gone.
All right, I just want to have a kind of a follow-up after our last mandatory meeting. I'm going to make it fairly quick. I just want to put a consistent message out there. I don't really know exactly what to say as far as how to make you guys trust me, trust the company, believe what you want. I just think there's a lot of messages out there that are not accurate. If you really want accurate information, just ask a manager. We're not going to lie to you. So I can't make you guys trust me. I can only give you the facts. And, you know, I can spew a bunch of things like attitudes to choice and all this. Personally, I know we have a ton of very good people here. And I really, really, really wanted to get away from these shotgun type messages, but I want to put the same information out so it's accurate. And I'm going to try to share everything I can with you. You guys can ask anything. I'm an open book. So since the last meeting where we announced the layoffs and the rate cuts, I feel like there's kind of grown into this sense of us versus them. Whether it's, you know, the employees, you know, the drivers, the mechanics, dispatch, it just feels like, you know, there's this us against them. And I get where that would come from the decisions that were made, but sometimes there's this feeling that the decisions that were made was not to put any more money in anybody's pocket. It was to save the company. And I hope you guys are big enough to understand that it's common sense. A lot of the stuff I get is completely contradictory. On one hand, act like, you know, I have some people come up to me and act like this is all about greed or something. And then on the other hand, everybody's questioning why we can't pay our bills. You know, I mean, it's like, what do you want from me? These things were to save the company. We've been in worse place than this, as most every company in the oil field has. And we have always rebounded very well. And we've responded well. This is the first time I've been here for 4 years. We've never had to get to the point of layoffs. We've had problems where we didn't have enough drivers to haul the volume we had, which, you know, then you lose big customers, and that's a problem too. So, you know, I'm just going to put it out there to you guys and try to make it make sense. I can tell you, I've never lied to any of you guys, ever, since I've been here. Not saying I've never been wrong before, but I've never lied to you. So the other thing I want to point out is all these changes are every bit as hard on the managers and supervisors as they are the subordinates. this is difficult for everybody. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it isn't a tough time, but I do think that the worst is behind us, and I think we're moving forward. And I'll get into some of the specifics, and I'll be quick so that we're not all sitting in here sweating. But many of the managers took pay cuts as well, and they took a pay cut to be a supervisor, and then they take a pay cut on top of it. It's not easy. And then, they're out there trying to help. There's a lot of demand. I know that drivers and mechanics and all the other employees have expectations of management, right? It's our job to take care of you guys and make sure you've got what you need and help you succeed. That's really our job. And I get it if it doesn't feel like that, because we're doing everything we can too. And it only makes it tougher when you feel like we're not on the same team. Because when you're going to bat for people and trying to help them, and it's unappreciated, and all you get back is negative activity, it sucks. And that is going both ways right now, because that's how management feels, and that's how the subordinates feels. I literally asked some drivers, what do you think? What should I talk about? What's the feeling out there? And one of them says, well, talk about why drivers get treated like shit. Okay. Well, that's a perception, but unfortunately to that driver, that's his perception is his reality. And maybe something happened, that there's something validated that. I don't know, because obviously the managers and the supervisors are not perfect, and we do make mistakes, but I'll get into some of the direction where we're going. So I may read some of this. I just wrote this 20 minutes ago. I want trust among us, and I want security in this volatile occupation. I truly wanted to be done with the shotgun, like I said. But there's so much inaccurate information flying around. I feel like sometimes, we have these meetings, I put all the facts out, and next thing, the stuff that's getting back to me is just completely untrue. And it leaves me with this feeling like I can't save you from yourselves. You just want to be miserable. I realize that's a tiny percentage, so don't everybody think that I'm saying that. But that tiny percentage affects all of us. And it's frustrating. Overall, I've had a ton of compliments on Prairie drivers. In fact, I honestly say, you could ask dispatch, but I would say we're actually probably getting more compliments on Prairie drivers than we ever have. I would honestly say that is the truth. And I don't know if it's our relationship with some producers have gotten better and they're more outspoken, we have better communication, but I'm getting emails, phone calls, just like dispatch does, and, out there fighting the snowstorm when other trucks didn't, especially on the water side where we had to keep the trucks moving. And, the producers out there with us with a blade, and it's all hours of the night. Guys are sitting in trucks 2 hours, 3 hours, some of them 10 hours. And it sucks. And it's not a good day for anybody, not for the driver and not for the company. But is it a good day for that relationship? It definitely is, because it goes a long way. And when it comes time to bid on a year contract, that stuff gets remembered. So I appreciate everybody that's done that. It's not fun. I get it. The other thing that I'm going to say about the gossip is, if you're saying anything that's not accurate, I'd like to hold people accountable, but it's always, I don't throw people under the bus, and usually people that tell me stuff or say, oh, I don't want you to say anything. So I will just say this. If that source is actually confident in the information they're telling you, then hold them to it. Say, okay, I'm going to go ask Alan, and you're okay if I say I heard it from you. Do something to, don't be a victim of this BS. If it's true, then they should stand by it. But everything is, well, I heard this, and they talk like they know it's true, but it creates a lot of insecurity. I'm not trying to run a cult here. I don't need you guys to just blindly follow me. I just want you to trust me to give you facts, whether it's good or bad. And if nobody's coming to me for those facts, then there's not much I can do. And I'll get into what some of the stuff that I've heard is. So this is more a question than gossip or I guess if it's gossip, it is true. This must have came from a reliable source. So it says parts room cut off from supplies. Now, some of this gets into a lot of stuff. It says we accumulated debt, which is true. So my answer to this, part room cut off from supplies, getting trucks fixed, we have accumulated debt, as Pat and I discussed, as consequences of growing too fast and probably some poor decisions. But we have people right now that are making good decisions, and there's a plan for Prairie. And right now, the plan is to stay current on the debt that we accumulate and pay our bills, and we're going back and paying anything that we owe beyond that by prioritizing it as how it impacts the company. Our accounts team has contacted every single person we owe money to and told them the plan and explained how this is working. I'm not going to sit here. It's a tough position to be in, and we owe debt. But I will say this. I'm amazed at how much debt we've knocked down in the last month and a half. And the plan, the end of the rainbow, is that at the end of May, we'd be completely debt-free and everything is just going to the current bills. And we are on the path to that. It makes it very hard because obviously it's dependent on the revenue we generate. And when we have snowstorm after snowstorm after snowstorm and we don't, it's tough. And then you get, we got to make all those phone calls again and say, I'm sorry, here's, what's going on. But we have made a lot of progress and paying off debt. And nobody's denying that we accumulated some debt. I heard Central is holding our trucks until we pay them. Okay, this isn't true. We have a great partnership with Central Truck. We have adjusted. One weekend, we sent 3 mechanics to Cheyenne to work on trucks as an adjustment there because of parts and money. And thanks to those mechanics that went down there, it went over well. The drivers thought it was great. They got all the maintenance and service done on their trucks. We also had a shop in Rawlins, down in Rawlins, that did hold on to one truck. And, we got it. I'm guessing that's where this came from. This, there's always a little hint of something that's true. But it was in Rawlins. It was one truck. We, for the most part, we're not desperate for the truck. We paid it. We got it paid off. We paid more than we needed to. I always say, make a positive out of a negative. We ended up building a lot better relationship with those people, thanks to Wyzetta, thanks to Joelle and everybody, communicating and getting it fixed. It sucks. It happened. I don't know that's, I guess I don't know why that's something that people talk about like it's a horrible thing. Obviously, if somebody's holding on to one of our trucks, we're going to get it back. I mean, we're not, you're not going to work and do $2,000 of work on a truck and then keep a $150,000 piece of equipment. It just doesn't work like that. Heard we didn't get approved for refinancing. Drivers are worried about company cash flow and going out of business. I don't even know what to say. That sounds like a lot of people doing my job. I appreciate it. So, it's not even close to true. I'm not going to beat anybody up because I can see how that comes from the conversations, right? We did layoffs. It seems like there's this whole, feel to the oil field that everything's falling apart. You got pipeline coming through and, thousands and thousands of barrels are going to the pipe and it looks bleak. But trust me when I say that there is a way to take advantage of these things and own the market. We lowered rates when a lot of people wouldn't, and it sucks. It sucks for us and it sucks for you. But I'm telling you, looking at everything, and is Dustin in here? We're winning bids to the point that I can tell you the whole plan when we did this, and it does take a little bit to come to fruition, but the whole plan was that you guys have the opportunity, if you want, to go out there and get more loads to make more money. Now, if I'm you sitting in this room, I'm looking at me like, where's the loads? But they are coming. We are winning bids. In fact, today, I just got word that we won a bid that actually goes the opposite direction. So that means, no deadhead for that run. You go to Gillette and then come back. There's a lot of things that are falling in our lap. There's a ton of good bids that we're winning, both Cheyenne, Rollins, and up here in the Powder. It is going very well. And anybody that wants to, sit and really think that I'm blowing smoke, then just come see me. I do a forecast. I put out what the barrels are predicted for each month and why and what it's based on. And that's talking to the producers and the estimated barrels. And it will increase at the end of March, and it will go up in April significantly. And hopefully, as you hear, are there companies out there that have better rates and do things like that? There probably are, because we're going through a tough time. But the reality is, are they going to have any oil? And when we are the dominant company and we have the oil, that's when the rates get better. It's just that simple. It's not any complicated process, and nobody's lying about anything. It truly looks good. I'm confident about the future. Did you have a question?
Dustin just said he's watching online downstairs.
Oh, okay. So I truly do feel like the worst is behind us, or we're going through it right now. I mean, it does seem like there is a lot of potential, and we just gotta. In fact, Dustin talking today was his big fear was we weren't going to have enough trucks and drivers to haul in April because of what's coming on, and that's not me blowing smoke. I hope he's right. I hope that's a problem. Struggling because of water. So a lot of people don't like to haul water, or they think that water isn't good for us. Water generates revenue and carried us last summer when we were low on crude. If you guys remember that, whoever was here, water carried us. The two highest paid drivers in this company both haul water. And I don't know the answer to that other than it's acquired skill. I don't know why that is. If it's, it might have something to do with routes that they're on and doing these things. But ultimately, as you know, we try to make everything fair. And some people are just good at it and they can go fast. And we have crew drivers that are like that as well. So it's one of those things that the people that don't like it or haven't been successful at it, it might just be, I don't think anyone's going to get out there on the first week and knock it out of the park if it's a different thing. I will say, we have needed drivers to step up and help with water. And there's a lot of money to be made in water. But for those drivers, especially those that didn't want to do it, I appreciate you doing it. It really helps us because, like I said, if we let down these producers, it's tough to get the volume later. And so being out there in these circumstances, and it certainly is difficult in the wintertime when water's freezing up. And, you can definitely see as the problems come into dispatch that in the wintertime, water goes up significantly. It's just a tough product to haul in the wintertime when the temperatures are low. I'd like to grow on the water side. I mean, we are, as we hire new drivers, we try to make it that, hey, the expectation is you could haul crude, you could haul water. We're trying to not force anybody to haul what they don't want to. But, I definitely appreciate those that step up and do it. Embezzlement. So I'm going to make this statement and listen to it closely. And if I'm wrong, I'll leave. No one has embezzled from Prairie, and no one that works for Prairie has embezzled. Now, we've made some poor decisions, growing fast, and probably didn't watch money or be careful like we should. Just like, I mean, you look at anybody that's, we had all the volume, right? Things were good, and we raised rates, but we spent money like crazy trying to get the equipment and keep up, and we try to forecast, we try to plan for these things. Then we got to a point where trucks were falling apart, and it was a difficult time for the shop. If you remember back when I first got here, I mean, these trucks were falling apart, and we did whatever we did to keep the trucks running because we had so much volume and didn't want to let the customers down. It literally was a matter of just keep the truck running at all costs. I mean, I remember, and I know Steve was here, we were putting motors in these things like changing belts. I mean, it was crazy. So, DOT about to shut us down. We did go through a DOT audit, and we did have some violations, and those violations were all due to leasers. But it still impacts us. It's our DOT number, and we took a hit, and we're in a warning area for hazmat, but we have worked with DOT. We've gotten through the audit. Have the whole plan in place to take care of our fine and as well to get to the satisfactory rating. And everything is laid out, and we've communicated with DOT. They're on the same page as us. I don't think there's anything that's going to shut us down other than massive violations. But this is why we try to hold everybody accountable and in compliance. And, it's frustrating because every time we do, it seems like somebody gets frustrated. And then when we don't, somebody's mad that we're not holding, it feels like you can't win sometimes. I almost feel like, I apologize to the Democrats in the room, but I almost feel like a Democrat. Like, it's like, okay, you need to do this. You got to get this person. You got to hammer this person. You need to, they should be suspended. They can't get away with this stuff. And then that person does it. And it's, wait, that doesn't apply to me. I don't want, it's hard. It's very difficult to try to find what we try to do. Like I've talked about disciplinary action before. It's not punishment. So what we try to find is how is somebody learn to protect the company, that it's not going to happen again, but without us beating you down and killing your spirit. The answer is you just got to care enough to not do it in the first place. But it's tough. And I know some of you guys, are out there and you're working hard and it's a million things and the temperature sucks and there's 100 things to remember at just getting one load, but one little thing goes wrong and it's an incident. It's tough, but that's why, it requires such a skill to do the job. So, hang in there, try to do it. We do not discipline to try to be punitive, but I know it's frustrating, and it's to correct the behaviors, to try to correct it and make sure it doesn't happen again, because if it does and our scores get low or we are impacted on the DOT side, the problem is now that incident impacts everybody. And I don't know if Jake's sitting in the other room, but Jake had a rollover. We're dealing with this. It's a problem. But Jake, a while ago, in Jake's defense, he drives very tough roads. And there is no shoulder. But we can't have violations. We can't have incidents. And, a while back after the last incident, we did require Jake to get his own authority. We required Jake to get his own assurance. And that's how he's operating. So this incident shouldn't impact us, but it happens and it's tough. I feel bad for those guys, driving those roads down there. I mean, I don't know, Gilby, how many days would you say they've been shut down just because of the roads shut down? It's
probably 10 so far this year.
I mean, it's all the time. So, I'm almost done. Prairie treats drivers like shit. So, I'm not a guy that's going to challenge people to leave. right? I appreciate our employees. I appreciate our drivers. And I've seen people turn it around. There's drivers here that I would have loved to see leave, that I would honestly say are now some of our best drivers. In fact, they're leaders in this company. They weren't always in that place. But I like to think that we as managers are open-minded to that change, that people can correct behavior and get better, because we've seen it happen a million times. So I don't want to make that challenge, but when I hear that, it's frustrating. Because if you feel that way, I don't really want you. I want you to like it here. And if you don't like it here, I'm not telling you to leave, but what I'm saying is maybe look in the mirror if you don't like it here and you can't find something better. It's not a challenge. What I want you to do is learn to like it here. Talk to me, talk to a supervisor. If there's something that just makes you miserable, then come talk to us and we'll give you the reasoning behind it, why we have to do it, or we'll change it. We don't always say the right thing. And actually where I'm going with this, the follow-up to this is, I do think we can do a better job. I think the managers can do better. I think that I can do better and supervisors can do better. This crap has affected us too. This isn't an easy thing, and it's not an easy thing to go through. And we all get a little tense. We get moody, and we're asked to do more and get paid less. But it's an investment. Personally, I believe it's going to be great again, and we'll be at the top. And so it's kind of an investment in the company. And I know there's guys in this room that were here when things were a lot worse. I know Kyle was a driver back in the day. We didn't have anything to haul. It was like, please, Kyle, take vacation and come back in 2 weeks. It was awful. So I really would appreciate if we could just be a team and come out of this stronger than before, because you go through something tough. Hopefully, it builds a bond and we bond together. That's my hope. I can't do the work for everybody, though, and I can't change if somebody chooses to have a bad attitude. And I can't even say that we haven't done things to create a bad attitude from time to time. It's certainly not intentional. And there's no higher opinion, from one person than another. Nobody's valued more. We all have different roles in this company, but everybody's valued the same. And that's why I'm very big on respectful communication, whether it's me talking to you or vice versa. But I want communication. Let's deal in reality. If you guys have a question, if there's a concern, then let's get it out there. And, I appreciate the drivers that talked to me and gave me stuff they were hearing out there. I'm sure there's a lot more, but I am very confident and optimistic about Prairie's future. And I don't need to say that. There's no benefit to me saying that if it's a lie. Unless I'm just trying to hang on for another week. But let's not forget, I've retired from one job. I don't need to be here. I believe in this, and I believe in you guys, and I want this to be, I want us to be successful. I want to own all of this, Wyoming and Texas, and, there's a lot going on, but I feel very optimistic, and I'll even tell you, if it really is just in your craw and you want to know, come see me. I'll show you the forecast of what the barrels look like, the numbers look like for April. It's not a secret. I have no secrets from you guys. And do I go out and I share everything? I don't. Just let's take employee things. One of the things I saw on Facebook, Darren McFarland, probably one of my favorite guys here, and I see this thing that says, push Darren out. How does that even... Did anybody talk to Darren? Because I promise you that Darren isn't saying that. So, with that said, it's Darren's business and not mine. But when I read that, I look at the source and I think there's somebody who hasn't even talked to Darren. So, it's unfair, and it creates a negative environment, and people think that we're not looking to push drivers out. You guys are the cream of the crop. I can tell you right now, I'm not saying this lightly. We have gotten a lot of compliments And people are coming to us because they want Prairie to haul. I actually had a new company that has never done business with Prairie, that's growing in Wyoming, that called us on some barrels and wanted our rates just yesterday. And they said they were calling us because they got our name from the producer who recommended we haul. That's the kind of stuff we need. That's the reputation we need. And that is a direct result of you guys. So I know that you guys are not tearing down the company. I don't want to deliver a negative message. But for those few and that percent that probably aren't even in this room, but I hope this gets to them, let's deal with reality. But to you guys, I would say, don't let yourself be a victim of it either. Challenge them. Say, okay, then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna go ask Alan if it's correct, and I'm gonna tell him I heard it from you. And if it's true, then I'll verify it. If it's not, then I think there needs to be a consequence if it's a negative comment that can tear down the company and, instill all this anxiety. I can tell you, I've said it since day one when I walked in the door, because it's one thing I hate about the oil field. But I do not want anybody to ever worry about their job. And if they have a job, these cutbacks that we had to do killed me. I am not a very, proud, ego, macho maniac to sit here. When we let these people go, I sat there and I cried with them. I'm telling you, it wasn't an easy thing. And they were great. I mean, they most of them tried to make me feel better about it. So with that, are there any questions? Yes, Steve Lamb.
Yeah, you already answered one of them. So is this looking for a plan for the next 5 years, which you just got to do what you can do for bids and such. And the next one is there going to be any cutbacks on our current benefits, 401k insurance, or anything like that?
I have not heard any talk of that at all. I don't see that. I actually think, like I said, I think the worst is behind us, and I anticipate, unless I'm wrong about April, May, and going into the summer, I definitely don't see that. Anything else? I really appreciate everybody's time. I'm glad for the turnout. Thank you for being here. Please be a part of the team, part of the solution. I know that we as management can do better as well, and we're working on it. We had a meeting on that. We had a meeting on that this morning and talked about it. And I get it. I know that there's been some decisions and things that frustrate people. But I'd also like to say some of the frustration. Let's just take the shop, for example. How hard it is to get things or do things. That shop cost is spiraling down. Everything that's being done is the right decision. I don't want it to impact you negatively to do your job. I don't. But the costs are going down. And we're doing the right things, making the right decisions. I hope you don't think I can read that.
Oh
Let me see.
my god. The last three, I don't know if you want to.
The cats.
Is there a question there?
I mean,
Get them coaching.
you just read?
Okay. All right, here's a question. Why are we not able to get a ride back to the yard when we drop our truck off at the shop?
Talking about Gillette.
That's how much
Gillette.
Yeah. I don't know the answer. I mean, I don't even...
Everybody's already been informed that they can take a taxi and Corey will pay for it.
Taxi.
Huh?
Taxi.
How about Uber?
Can we do Uber? Is there any... So,
You could do Uber, we just...
I don't understand. Is this
Well,
a
it's usually
problem?
after hours, so there's no one there to give a ride
Where is their vehicle parked?
at the truck yard, but they're dropping it off at the shop for repair the next day.
Come on, 2 or 3 miles.
So how often does this happen?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
How far is it?
4 miles.
4 miles. Can we station some bicycles there? All right, so the answer is if we can take an Uber, I don't know, are they waiting there? Or do they have that in
If
Gillette?
they used an Uber or a taxi and they turn in a receipt for reimbursement, we'll pay them. We're looking for other options. If we get a better rotation of the trucks going around, as long as they got a hazmat, there should always be a truck sitting there ready to go, where they could just take that back to the yard.
But we could leave a pickup there, but then the problem I'm assuming is it gets stuck at the other place.
Yeah.
410 and 109 is up there, and they got them fixed and running, so they can use those to go back and forth if they're on the right side or whatever.
All right, apparently that was a better question than I thought. But we will get it fixed. For now, the temporary, if you have to call for a ride, get a receipt and Prairie will pay for it. I don't know what else is in there. I still, for those healthy options, we could get a bicycle up there.
I got a question. What are we gonna do about these supplies? We can't get.
Wait a sec. So the next one says Uber taxi doesn't work at 3 a.m.
Oh, they don't?
Companies work 24/7.
Take 109.
Yeah,
Wait.
I think we can probably address this with Gillette drivers, can't we?
Oh, so they listen to everything else. I'm just wondering if.
I'm just saying. You're always telling me.
Well, we'll figure. Yeah, all right, we'll figure it out. But so the only thing I'm thinking is that what's the reason that the mechanic, just because they can't leave? I mean, why can't the mechanic give them a ride?
There's no mechanics there at night.
Yeah, there's
No way.
mechanics in there.
Well, that was a question. I'm just reading this for the question.
I answered it.
All right. Answer is there are no mechanics there.
And I'm not always available.
Alan,
Yes.
Chad has a question.
These supplies, we can't get supplies on the weekends, all, nobody give out supplies. What are we supposed to do?
We need to be proactive, we need to get them Monday through Friday, and there's somebody there to have to.
You guys need to be proactive then, because I'm gone before 6, and I a lot of times get back after 6. Are they around?
You could always call and you could assign it and you could set it out somewhere.
Like, I had to take a different truck the other day. Needed a wrench. You know, my truck was down, so how do I know what's in that truck when I haven't been in it, you know? And I can't get it.
Take your tools
Necessary
with you
stuff.
Take your stuff with you out of your truck every day.
It's not our stuff. It's Prairie's stuff.
We're talking tool, oil.
Just take it out of somebody else's truck.
Yeah.
That's the
So,
easiest.
this company has been assigned a crescent wrench, a thief, every single person. Well, it's all in their name, and when there's 2, 3, 4.
Well, obviously.
The driver's signing for that. It's not ours though. It's for that truck.
We don't pick them too, we never have. They stay in the truck.
Is it for the truck or is it for the driver?
All going in your own truck shortly anyways.
Joel.
I'm not.
Joel, is it for the truck or for the driver?
It's being checked out the driver.
But it's for the truck.
It's for the truck.
It's for the truck.
Right. But
So it should stay in the truck.
So, how come there's trucks that don't have it if it's for the truck then?
Because they
Because
put
there's
it on,
another
or somebody
lease
else didn't
somewhere,
turn it
too.
in, or they didn't say, hey, it's missing, or they didn't do their complete job on their pre-trip or post-trip.
Or you can't go to the shop and put the tools back in there that are missing.
That's right. So, it's not.
Because there's somebody in here that just walks around, oh, I need a bucket, I need
And they just take it.
oh yeah, I need a wrench, and.
Unfortunately, we have these like people.
Obviously, we have some issues here, so I'm putting these down. We'll figure something out and get back to you guys on some information as far as the ride from Gillette and then supplies. But we'll probably go on forever if we're going to sit here and try to figure it out right now. But I appreciate the input and the question. I just don't have the answer right now. Is there anything else we could?
Nothing new.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for being here.
Quick question. Yeah. So I've been getting new speed alerts on the East Nile Road for a 20-mile-an-hour speed zone. Is there a 20-mile-an-hour speed zone?
Yes, bottom of the hill. Across California.
Check your email. So you're guilty is what you're saying.
Bottom of the hill.
It's the only sign on the east side that says Kathy.
What about a 50-mile-an-hour zone? Highway 50 and 387.
So you should probably check your email, and you should probably go watch a couple safety meetings that you've missed. I think, make sure you guys sign the roster. Hey, thanks.
She actually expected me to